Hi, Peter Steven. Welcome to Joel John Day YouTube channel, and our viewers are willing to know about you. So kindly introduce about yourself.
Well, hello, John Jay. Very much a pleasure to meet you. My name is Peter Stevens. I am best known as a Scrum trainer based in Zurich, Switzerland. Um, People come to me because they want their organizations to go faster. Development takes too long. It costs too much money. It's too risky. We need to get things moving faster, get results sooner. I'm known for my work on Agile contracting. One of my books is 10 Agile Contracts, which is a guide basically for clients of IT services and providers of IT services to understand each other. What I consider my most important work and the basis for what we're going to talk about today is a book called Personal Agility, Unleashing Alignment, Transformation, and Purpose, and which I co-wrote with Maria Mattarelli. And this basically takes the principles of agility and refines them down to your life so that you can use it on a team of one, yourself, or you, yourself, and your alter ego. And then it scales it back up. How can you lead a team? How can you lead an organization? How can you create alignment? Okay. And so those are probably the two most important things I've written. I've also done a lot of work on Scrum in manufacturing, applying Scrum to hardware development, which is actually where most of my clients have been coming from in the last year. And I've done the illustrated guides, there are two of them, to Scrum, which is intended as a tool for coaches and other practitioners to explain Scrum and make it visible and also make good decisions about how to organize their teams.
Okay, it's great to know about your book, sir. And also, I will search books links and social media
Yeah.
links on the description and on the comment box. You have to click the more read option to see all the links, and you can click the links and get benefited by such books.
Mhm.
So it'll be much detailed because here you will be having only the little 30-minute speech of sir. So you can know much and you can learn much from Peter Stevens through his books. And now getting into the interview, and I have also wrote a book. Those that book link and my social media link tree, which will have all my book links and social media links. I will give it there. You can also follow me as well as you follow, sir. And Stephen, now getting into the questions, why doesn't the agility stick to companies?
That's a really good question. And I've been in the Scrum and Agile space since 2006. My first project, we took the worst project in the company, we made it into the best project in the company, and 2 years after I left, they were still doing Scrum. Okay, it stuck at least in that context. But somehow, when we try to do it in larger contexts, we see that it doesn't stick. And a lot of people are trying to figure this out. Why is agile transformation so hard? And people will throw out things at you like fear of change, resistance to change, the management that doesn't get it. But I actually had a bit of an aha moment a couple months ago now, where I was listening to an experienced practitioner, someone who'd been doing this for 40 or 50 years in the lean space and exactly the same problems. And what they realized is that if you go to a manager in an organization and you ask him to do something that's not personally beneficial to him, it's probably not going to happen. That is, most people don't say, oh, I'm going to do this for the organization and I don't care what happens to me. They care very much about what happens to themselves. Now, if you're doing Scrum and you're a manager, what is Scrum? Your team is going to start doing Scrum. What are they saying to you? Well, they're saying, Mr. Manager, tell us what you need and then please step down, get out of the way, let us solve the problem. And the manager looks at that and he says, uh-huh. But I'm a problem solver, but I'm the guy with the domain level knowledge and I can do all these good things. And you're telling me to get out of the way. And they're going to do all the work and get all the credit. And oh, but I'm still accountable. So it means if it goes wrong, I'm going to get blamed. And so all of a sudden, they look at that and they say, is this going to be good for my career? Yes, no. And as the no starts to dominate, then they say, well, this ain't going to happen. Okay. And I think the problem is we have not been addressing the needs of management directly. And we have not been offering something which is unambiguously beneficial to them, both in terms of what we teach them to do and in terms of the future that they see for themselves. Okay. Now, I believe that this is a huge mistake, and there's no particular good reason for the mistake. Quite the opposite. I think if we start to explore how managers can, not just guide this agile environment, but really thrive. And, hey, managers are problem solvers. That's what they're good at, and that's what agile teams do. So you know, let's show a path forward to management where they see how they win. And I think that's going to give us much better results. So short answer, we need to offer a future to management. End of message.
Oh, great, sir. And from your mindset, what mindset barriers most often derail agile initiatives?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I'm not sure I understood the question.
From your mindset, what's the
Yeah.
kind of mindset barriers most often this
Okay.
derailing agile initiatives? What's the mindset which is the reason for this derailing of agile initiatives
Yeah.
happening? Can you understand? No?
Sure.
Yeah,
So,
great, sir.
what what's making it difficult? What's making it hard, especially for leadership to accept agility? Well, I think the big mindset shift goes from is about who solves the problem. Okay. And the classical version of management, going back to Henry Ford, if not further back, is somebody senior solves the problem, everyone else is arms and legs implementing the solution. Okay. And that worked just fine, for most of the 20th century. The problem is today it's kind of slow. Okay. It doesn't give us responsive organizations, and it's not very smart either. Okay. Because my colleague Ron Collins, he phrased this very succinctly in his latest book. He said, nobody is smarter than everybody. And what we need to do today, as any kind of leader in a company, be a top executive level, a middle management, or even a subject matter expert, what we really need to do is activate the intelligence of the entire company. Okay. And this is completely different than telling someone to do what you told them to do. And it requires new skills and different skills. And this is what everyone has to learn. Or these are the success skills, in my humble opinion, for the 21st century.
Oh, great to know about that, sir. And if agile is so hard to embed, why do companies truly need them still?
Why do we need to do it anyway? Now that's another really good
Yeah.
question. And it's real simple, the need for speed. Okay. Right now, my current company, that is my current client, they've been in business for 120 years. They make heat exchangers. They've been doing it for a long time. The problem is, the competition is always getting tougher. Everybody's getting faster. And the approaches that they took to develop new models that were just fine for them 20 years ago, they're not good enough today. And their competition is applying computational physics. Their competition is bringing out prototypes faster, and they need to get faster. Okay, so the fundamental problem is development takes too long, it's too expensive, and it's too risky. And why is it? Well, because of the huge complexity, uncertainty of the situation involved. So they need to shorten their development cycles. They need to develop for less money. They need to be faster and more confident at delivering better products. Okay. And this is all problems that, agility. Now, when I say agility, I mean the tools and practices of agility, were intended to solve. There have been some issues with, how shall I say, many companies have tried to implement it and only gotten it half right. And in some ways, being half right is 200% wrong. And so it's not always been easy to do. And in fact, I think what the things that agility is trying to help us do, they're very hard problems. And we need to get better at solving hard problems, which takes us back to the need for agility to activate the intelligence of our people.
Okay, great to know about that, sir. And it's really a good insight from you. And what are all the skills a manager needs in the 21st century?
Okay. Well, before it was mostly about problem solving. Okay. And if you were a good problem solver, well, you would get promoted and you would be a better problem solver and you get more people to help you solving the problems. Okay. Now, today, I think the fundamental problem is we all have too much to do. So the first thing that we need to be able to do is figure out what's important. Okay. Aligning action with purpose, being able to focus on the right things and being able to push back on the wrong things. Okay, so that starts with us and just organizing ourselves, but we also need to do that for our teams. My clients today, and again, too numerous to mention, all of their people are overworked. They've got their project, but they've got these requests coming from outside that are, for whatever reason, so urgent that they can't say no to them. And so they can't actually work on the project. Okay. So this aligning action with purpose and saying no to stuff that doesn't matter. That's a first of all a really tough skill. It requires a lot of backbone and it's essential to make progress. The second thing is to be able to activate your team. Well, let's say the individuals in your team. First, it starts on 101, and then, as you get better at it, you start working with larger groups. You want to activate their intelligence to solving problems. You don't want to just give them the solution. You need to help them think through the problem and, kind of come together on what the solution is. And you start doing that on a one-on-one basis, and then you work your way up to smaller groups. And then this takes us to, well, how do we lead an organization? Okay. And here the skills are building alignment, holding alignment, and really being able to engage a team, a large organization, to really take on a problem, figure out what they're trying to achieve, figure out what's making it difficult, and then figure out what the solution is. So that by the end of the exercise, everybody in the room is giving you a thumbs up. Yes, I support this. Maybe a couple are giving you, okay, I can live with this, but you got nobody giving you a thumbs down saying, no, no, this ain't going to work. And what's even more poisonous, you've got nobody doing this, kind of pretending, well, I'm going to pretend to agree now, but actually I'm not in agreement and I'm going to sabotage this the first chance I get. Okay, so you want to create alignment that's real alignment. And then you need to be able to hold that alignment. You need to hold the focus long enough to achieve your long-term objectives. Okay, now I believe all of these things are teachable skills. Okay, and these are things that we can do, and these are things that we can practice. And as our leadership gets better at doing these things, our organizations are going to get better at achieving their goals and, achieving them sooner for less money.
Oh, great to know about that, sir. And like, is that what the Purple Management Fitness Program is about? And
Yeah.
how does it works? And how can people find out more about this Purple Management Fitness Program?
Okay. Well, those are three questions in one. You cheated on me. That was
Oh,
all.
like
Let's
I'm
start.
mainly I'm
So
much
let's
interested about get to know about this Purple Management Program.
okay.
This is for fitness program. So is it
Fitness
like a
program. Yeah,
bodybuilding fitness or it's about managerial
exactly.
skills and how
Exactly.
it works, like how it's implemented, and then
Okay.
for people so people in the sense our viewers when they see this video if
How,
they want to find out to know
how do they
more
get
about
involved?
this how could they get to know so on kind of interest I put on too many questions lined up, sorry
Okay,
for
so
that.
let's start. First question at the time. What is it? Why Purple Management Fitness Program? Okay, and so maybe let's start with why fitness, because you talked about bodybuilding. Okay, you go to the gym, and there are weights down there. Okay, and so what do? Maybe have a chat with the coach. You decide what your program is, and then every day or 3 days a week or something like that, you go and you do your repetitions. Okay. And you start at, let's say, we pick a number. Let's say you start at 20 kilos, if that's the right number for you. Okay. And then you do your 10 repetitions. Okay. And you do a couple of other variations and, maybe spend half an hour lifting weights. And it's all about doing repetitions. And then after each set of repetitions, you write down what the weight was and how many you did. Okay. And then 3 days later or 2 days later, you're going to go off and do the same thing. Only maybe this time, instead of doing 10 repetitions, you can do 12. Okay. So you do your 12 repetitions. And then, after doing that for a couple of weeks, now you're doing 15 repetitions. Okay. You got the strength to do that. And so what do? Well, you move up to, before you were 20 kilos, now you do, I don't know, 25, and you go back to 10 repetitions. So you notice there are measurable results and you can see how you're getting better. Okay. Now that for me is fitness. Now, when you go to the sports club, they've got another section, which we call wellness or spa. Okay. And your muscles ache. And so you go into the jacuzzi and you get a massage, or maybe you go to the sauna or whatever it is you do. And you come out of there and you feel better. But there's not really any measurable improvement. Okay. You don't say, well, this week I did 10 minutes in the spa at 80 degrees and next time I'm going to go, I'm going to do 12 minutes at 80 degrees. That's not how you do it. You do it for the relaxation. Okay. No, it's good for you. It's necessary. Now, the problem that I have with most leadership programs that I've seen is they're all about wellness. They make you feel good about yourself. They make you understand yourself, but they don't tie it back to improvements in the organization. Okay. And very, very few organizations actually measure the effectiveness of their leadership, as far as I can tell. Okay. So I think a fitness program is first of all about developing your skills, and it's about making it measurable and visible, the improvements that you're making. Okay. And that's why we call it a fitness program, because we actually have what we call a success monitor. And so as your leadership team is going through the program, we also see how well you're doing from the perspective of your leaders, but also how well you're doing from the perspective of the rest of the employees. Okay. And so we get an objective understanding of how well the company is doing. And we would expect, as the leaders get better, that we would see better results. So, for instance, a lot of people complain that they have too many meetings, and too many of those meetings are a waste of time. So, one of the things that you would expect to see is people spending less time in meetings, and the time that they do spend in meetings is higher quality. So that would be that would be one measure of the fitness of the organization. So basically, what Purple is doing is it's teaching you the skills that I mentioned before: aligning action with purpose, leading for speed and effectiveness, and forging the organization. And at the same time, you're seeing the improvements in the organization. Okay, so that gives you kind of an idea of what it's all about. How do you find out more about it? Well, at purpleinstitute.org, we've got our first, the website is now up and running, and we've kind of explained what the mission is and why you might want to do it, what the problems you can solve with it are. And if you're curious about getting started, what we will do is you've got a form that you can fill out and leave your name and address. And if you fill that out, we'll send you a link, or we'll send you a thank you. We'll keep you up to date, and we'll also send you a link to the Guide to Personal Agility, which is the answer to the question, how do you align action with purpose at a personal level? So we'll kind of get you started, and then you can discover the rest for yourselves.
Okay, great, Peter Stephens. It's a very nice insight from you. And viewers, I have given the website link and his book links and his
Mhm.
social media following links and my book link and my social media on
Awesome.
the description. So click the more read tab on description or on the comment box below this video and click on the links or copy paste the links. You can get more information about that. And finally, Peter Stevens, what do you like to convey to our viewers?
What would I like to convey to your viewers? I'd like to convey to you hope. For
Great.
me, we'll say, what is agility all about? And for me, agility is all about hope. Okay. The metaphor of the original Agile Manifesto was architects digging in the mud, looking for better ways of doing what they do. Not architects, sorry, archaeologists digging in the mud. Okay. And every once in a while, you find an artifact, and everyone can say, oh, wow, fantastic. Look what I found. They didn't even invent it. They just kind of uncovered it and discovered it. Okay. Now, being an archaeologist is kind of, well, I don't know, maybe some people like digging in the mud, but it's dirty, hard work. Um, and the thing is, you never know if you're going to find anything. Okay, but you keep digging anyway. Okay, and so that for me is hope. Okay, it's action in the face of uncertain outcome. And agility is the search for a better way, and it's both an affirmation of hope and the hope of finding something better. Okay, so anyway, my hope for your viewers is that they continue to pay attention to agility, that they find themselves discovering better and better ways. And if my work at Purple and personal agility can play a little part in that, that would be awesome. And I'd love to hear about that from your viewers if they discover if they discovered something and it helps them in their daily lives or at work.
Okay, great, Stephen. It's a very nice finishing message. And the people below the pinned comments, you can type your own comments, what you find out about agility and what you feel about this video. And if you learn something best from Sir's book, you can also write a review on his book page itself and also comment something about that in the comment box below. So it will be a great experience for all of us. And thank you very much, Stephen, for coming over here and giving a great message. So people keep following us, and thank you very much for your time, Stephen. And bye to all our viewers.
Mm.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.